Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So we're going to move on now to the next case. Now, actually, the two cases that I'm now going to talk about, first one is that of Laken Riley. Riley, same surname as me. This is a case, as I say, I only touched on briefly, but this case has big ties, really. Well, I say it has ties. It has similarities to the case of Rachel Marin, who we have covered on, many times. We've looked, oh gosh, remember Rachel's case from when she was brutally murdered. We followed it right from day one, virtually. And sorry, I'm just looking, I'm going to upload a picture of Rachel as well so that I can show you. Yeah, we've looked at Rachel's case many times, and not so much at Laken's case, which I'm not sure why, really. I think this, of course, is Rachel. I think there must have been other things. I don't know why we've not really looked at Laken's case. I don't know. There must probably other things going on at the time. There's always something going on. But Laken Riley, very similar to Rachel Marin. She went off for a jog. She was a university student. She was let me just put some windows down and put some others back up. Let me give you a little summary, if you like, of the whole sort of the case. It's talking about the trial, but I want something that gives us a summary of the actual what happened. Yeah, so Laken was a student at Augusta University, and she was found dead in a wooded area on the campus on February the 22nd this year, and after she didn't return from a run. And it's alleged that Ibarra, her killer, the murderer, Jose Ibarra, we're going to look at him in a minute, unfortunately we have to, he killed her by inflicting blunt force trauma to her head and by asphyxiating her. And he seriously disfigured her head by striking her multiple times with a rock. Now, that is exactly what happened to Rachel, isn't it? You know, Rachel's face was obliterated by her killer. So not only RAPD'd her, killed her, but he also, they said that he also seemed to want to obliterate her face. And this guy has done similar thing. So the charges are 10-count indictment, aggravated battery, kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated assault with intent to RAPE, obstructing or hindering a person making an emergency telephone call, and tampering with evidence. And also he concealed evidence, a jacket and gloves, and also include the offence of malice murder. So, he's got a lot of charges against him. Let's just have a look at this. Now, the other similarity with Laken's murder and Rachel's is both their murderers are immigrants, illegal immigrants. They're not American citizens. So you can imagine, I think part of the reason that Donald Trump probably won the election was this problem over the borders, isn't it? It's a big thing. You know, we can't get away from it. You know, I'm not anti-immigration at all, but particularly Rachel's murderer, he was already a murderer when he crossed the border to come from El Salvador originally. There was an Interpol red alert out about him. You know, so how did he even manage to cross the border? Now, the thing we've got to be careful of is that's not the other immigrants' fault. I mean, there are lots of immigrants who come into the country who are not murderers, etc. But the thing is, if the borders are not good enough, that's not the immigrants' fault. That's the border control's fault. So something's got to be done about that. Both of these murderers, you know, and I do, you know, Donald Trump, and I suppose you can't blame him in a way. And we're going to see how he did make political capital out of this, particularly in the Rachel case. And we'll look at that shortly, as I say. But again, so this is where the similarities, so many similarities with Rachel's case. Let's just have a look at this. But in this case, the guy who did it, Jose, he had no previous convictions. He's originally from, God, I've forgotten, but it'll tell us in this. And he was married. His wife said he was, you know, as they do. Oh, you know, can't believe that Jose would do this, but he did it.
Details tonight in the case of the nursing student killed while running on the University of Georgia campus, how the suspect allegedly tried to conceal her death amid major questions now about why he was in this country. Steve Osunsami in Georgia again tonight.
In arrest records, prosecutors say that this 26-year-old from Venezuela, accused of murder on the University of Georgia campus, did conceal the death.
Venezuela he's from. And when this initially happened, there were some thoughts that it may be Rachel's killer who did it, because there are similarities, you know, in the actual attack. But obviously they did have DNA for Rachel Marin's murderer, Victor the Viper, as the horrible Victor. They did have his DNA, and obviously it didn't match with Jose's. But there were some thoughts initially that it could be Rachel Marin's killer that did it.
Of 22-year-old Laken Riley by dragging the victim to a secluded area. Riley was a cross-country runner at her old high school in the Atlanta suburbs and was a nursing student at a school near UGA when she was out running near this lake and was killed. Jose Ibarra is in a Georgia jail charged with murder tonight, and his story is adding fuel to the fire over immigration.
Mr. Ibarra has been charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated battery.
It's now a year and a half after authorities first arrested him for crossing the southern U.S. border unlawfully.
So this is the wall, is it? I take it that Donald Trump started building. I don't know. So how are all these people getting in? I would like to know how Victor got in, because Victor actually had, you know, a red warning on, you know, from Interpol. He was already a murderer. That is, you know, that is really irritating, isn't it? You know, he wasn't only an illegal immigrant coming over to make a new life. The guy was fleeing a murder that he did in his home country. He should never have got over the border. Apparently, he tried 3 times to get over the border, and it was the 3rd time that he got over. And shortly after he got over the border, this is Victor I'm talking about, not Jose. He attempted, he did that serious assault in Los Angeles, didn't he? Which he was probably fleeing from to go to Maryland, right over the other end of the country, and murder Rachel Marin. So you can't, you know, I can see we're going to have a look at Donald Trump in a minute, unfortunately, talking to Rachel Marin's mother. You know, and I know that there's a bit of a conflict in that family, because I do know that Rachel's first partner, Matt, he doesn't like it being politicized, you know, the murder. And in fact, even Rachel's mother doesn't want Rachel to be thought of as as a political tool. She wants her to be remembered as Rachel, but I think she's going to hold Donald Trump to account. Donald Trump says he's going to close the borders. Well, come on then, Donald, you've got to do it, because if he doesn't do it, there's as you know, I'm not necessarily, well, I'm definitely not a Donald Trump supporter, but there are two things that I'd like to see him do. There are two things that he says he's going to do that I think would be good things, but is he going to do them? First one is get some peace in the world. He says he can stop all the wars, and he says he can close the borders. So now we'll see if he does it or not. He's got to put his money where his mouth is now.
And in that same time, federal officials say he was also arrested in New York City for a motor vehicle license violation, acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17. He was released each time. He and his brother were living in an apartment building near jogging trails where Riley was killed. Prosecutors say Ibarra prevented her from making a 911 call and used an object to kill her.
So she tried to phone 999, this poor girl, not 999, 911, and he stopped us. That's part of the charges against him. And yeah, the thought of him and his brother living round about there, and Laken and other people from that university, other girls would have been going out running. But it's like Samantha Murphy going out running in Ballarat. Just it seems like you're just not safe. You can't just go out for a jog wherever you are. And we've got to remember that in Ballarat with Samantha Murphy, it's not an immigrant who's killed her. So even if they do close the wall and, stop illegal immigrants coming over who may have, it doesn't mean to say nobody's going to get murdered again, does it? Because most murderers probably aren't immigrants, to be honest. If you did a list of all the murders in America last year, there's probably a bigger number of them that wouldn't be immigrants than would be. So it's a fact. He's got to stop these immigrants coming over who've already got a bloody, already got a history, already got a conviction. How that Victor got through, I'll never know. He should have been arrested at the border. So the borders aren't working, are they? Whatever border control there is, it's not working properly.
This was a crime of opportunity where he saw an individual and bad things happen.
Unrelated to the murder, the suspect's brother was also arrested for having a fake green card, and the university is announcing more than $7 million in security upgrades, including better lighting and more cameras. David?
Steve Osensami on this case in Georgia again tonight. Thank you, Steve.
So that's like what's happening in Maryland on the Mar and Par Trail. They put all these cameras. I mean, it's too late for Rachel Marin. They put all the cameras up and this, that, and the other. But anyway, you shouldn't need cameras. You should be able to go for a run on a nature trail or go jogging or do whatever the hell you want. You should be able to do it. You shouldn't have to have all that security. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in, is it? Now, the reason that Laken Riley's case is back in the news is because this guy, he has chosen to go for a bench trial. So, in other words, he doesn't want a jury. So his jury selection had been scheduled, but he said, no, he doesn't want a jury trial. He wants a bench trial. He wants a judge to try him or to find him guilty or not guilty or whatever. So, yeah, it started. It's just started. I think it starts today, actually. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So the defense have said they agree with his decision. Let me just share this. So I wonder, why do you think he's asked for a bench trial? Does he think he's got more chance? He probably knows that a jury, the way, this febrile sort of atmosphere in America at the moment about immigrants, he probably knows he's got absolutely no chance with a jury trial, whereas he might have a little chance with a judge trial.
30-plus games still on their schedule, it sounds like having a professional like Charlie is going to make that task a little easier.
It relaxes them and it takes some of the stress away.
No,
In her coaching profile on the website, guys, it says Charlie enjoys long hikes, belly rubs, swimming, collecting sticks, and treats.
Oh, we love Charlie. That's your Good Morning America first look.
Have a great weekend.
America's #1 news, ABC.
Never mind. So the suspect accused of killing 22-year-old nursing student Laken Riley has waived his right to a jury trial. So the judge granted the defence's motion for a bench trial, and it's scheduled to begin on Friday. So why do you think? Let me know what you think in chat. Why do you think he's done that? I think it's probably because he knows that, you know, especially now Trump's got in, he knows that the mood in America is anti-immigrant, so he's got no chance with whatever jury they come up with. So, yeah. So Laken's death, along with Rachel Marin's death, has become a rallying cry for immigration reform from many conservatives, including President-elect Donald Trump. He mentioned her by name as recently as November the 3rd, when he visited Macon, Georgia, in a final pitch to voters. So there he is. Now we're going to have a listen to what he asked for a change of venue as well, but he's been denied that. He didn't get the change of venue that he asked for, but he's got the right to a bench trial. Now, I want to look at what his wife says about it. So, yeah, he's a different you know, whereas Victor, Rachel Marin's killer, he's a bit of like nomadic, isn't he? He's traveling all around America, a lone wolf, like no ties anywhere. He's just getting casual work on building sites, etc., wreaking havoc wherever he goes and then moving somewhere else. So it started off in Los Angeles, then he was in Maryland, right over the other side of America, then he was arrested in Oklahoma, whereas this guy is married. You know, he's got more settled life, if you like. Apparently, let's hear what his wife says about him. But you know what? People don't always know the person they live with, do they? That's the problem. Jose Antonio Ibarra's wife speaks out after Laken Riley's death. So let's see what she said. So the police chief said that Ibarra, originally from Venezuela, was not a United States citizen, had no prior history of violence, describing the situation as an isolated incident and a crime of opportunity with no motive. Well, probably sex was the motive. 3 to 4 other people were taken into custody during the investigation, but only he has been charged. I mean, why did he kill her? Why did he do that? You know, anyway. So apparently investigators were led to Ibarra with the help of video evidence and technology. There is no indication that he knew Riley at the time of the incident, or Laken, her name is. God. Anyway, so the New York Post spoke to Ibarra's wife, 23-year-old Layling Franco, about their background and her reaction to the charges against him. So according to her, they crossed the border into the US in September of last year, living for a time in New York City, where Ibarra worked for various food delivery app companies. In November, they split up. And Ibarra moved to Georgia to live with his brother, who appears to have a past connection with the university. And speaking on the allegations now levelled against him, his wife told the Post that the charges do not reflect the calm man she knew, and she would like the opportunity to speak with him. Despite that, she also said that if the allegations are true, he should pay for what he did. Yesterday, when he was arrested, my brother-in-law called me early to say he'd been arrested. We got married so we could join our asylum cases. He was the person I could see through. We've known each other our entire lives. She said he wasn't aggressive, none of that. We had problems as a couple, but our problems weren't physical. We wouldn't punch, but we'd raise our voices. I want to talk to Jose. I have a lot of faith this wasn't him, that there was a misunderstanding somewhere. But if he did, he has to pay for what he did. So, yeah, so this case and the Rachel Marin case just has caused, I think, is part of the reason why Donald Trump won, because of all this absolute anger over immigration, you know. So, hi, Joanne. Yes, this is a mega chat. Mega chat, it is a mega chat. Yeah. The thing is, America is full of different cultures, though. You have to, you do know that America was built on immigration. So it's not, I think most Americans, they'd have a bit of a cheek to say, oh, stop the immigrants. Most of them are immigrants from Ireland or from, where's the other place? Well, even Sweden and places like, America was built on immigrants. All Americans are immigrants. I think what the problem is the illegal immigration, isn't it? People crossing the border with false papers or no papers, and certainly people crossing the border. It's not about, there's a massive culture thing in culture mix in America, same as the UK. That's never going to be any different, is it? So I don't think it's the culture thing. It's the uncontrolled immigration and the fact that people are coming over either with no papers and also I still think what people have to remember is lots of people murder. Stephen Stearns is an immigrant. Lots of the cases we've covered, like Richard Allen's not an immigrant. Lots of the cases we've covered, they're not immigrants, so you can't blame it all on immigrants. But I do think something's got to be done with the fact that, the borders aren't controlled properly. So I hope Donald does his job, puts his money where his mouth is.